What is up, y'all? It's your girl Deja Monet, and we are back with another episode of I Think, Therefore I'm Black. Hope everyone had a good week. My week was good. Been a lot going on, but still managed to be here and woke up this morning, so that's good. Today we have an interesting topic that we will be talking about. We'll be talking about being black here at St. Louis University, and none other than the perfect person to talk about this topic with is the president of BSA and one of my best friends, Miss Janee Davis.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for having me.
How was your week?
It was good. We just came from fall break.
Yep.
Had that little, 2 days of class?
Mm-hmm.
Or 2-3 days of class. It was cool.
Yep.
Had a weekend. It was cool.
So I asked you here to talk about just like being black at SLU and the experiences of being black at SLU. And I know my experience has been a lot. I came from a diverse high school, overall diverse high school, and to jump into here, first of all, I chose this school because they gave me the most money. And so National Decision Day was May 1st. I didn't make the decision to go here until May 20th, and that had to do with a lot of things and factors that we will talk about in a different episode. But yeah, so that's kind of why I chose to go here. They gave me the most money, and yeah, that was pretty much it. But just the culture shock that I got coming in here was very, very surprising. I was not expecting it because I was used to being around white people, but not to this magnitude. So yeah, what kind of made you choose to go here?
What really drove me to not really go to school, because at first I was gonna go to UIC in Chicago, but I was like, I want to get away. I want to be with myself. I want to be able to figure this out by myself. Kind of away from family. And SLU was just the right amount of distance, between me and home. And they were selling me a dream, and I went with it. So
yeah, I really wanted to go to HBCU. But SLU gave me the most money, and HBCU did not give me enough money. So yeah, I applied to quite a bit of HBCUs. But it just came down to money aspect.
Yeah, no, definitely. I actually did not apply to any HBCUs. Yeah, I was just more interested in just getting away from home, and just being able to be on my own, kind of figure out my own life and stuff. And it's SLU, they had my majors and stuff, and it was a fit. So we just went with it.
Yeah, my decision was definitely on a whim. Decision day was May 1st of 2016, and I didn't make my decision until May 20th of 2016. So that's that is 3 weeks after the decision day was supposed to be, but that was due to a lot of other reasons and factors that we'll get into on a different episode. But yeah, so when choosing to go here had nothing to do. I didn't even know what I wanted to do or major in. I just knew I liked helping people and talking to people. So of course my first choice was to pick psychology. And then I came in and I was like, I don't know how I'm gonna feel about this.
Right.
And since I have family here and family in St. Louis, I was like, oh, okay, this should be perfectly fine. And I went to a very diverse high school. So coming from a diverse high school to a predominantly white institution, I had no idea what in the world I was getting myself into, for sure. I remember being the only black person in the classroom, my first day of classes, if it wasn't a class involving African American studies. And I did not realize how uncomfortable that made me until coming here, because I wasn't used to being the only person of color, especially the only black person at my school. So coming from a high school that to this, it was definitely a culture shock for me.
Yeah, I mean, when I was in high school and just grade school and stuff, I was used to that, having, a whole lot of, being the only person of color in like my honors, like AP classes. And then coming here, the only thing that I was surprised about was that I thought there was going to be more black students or just students of color, period. And I got here and I was like, ooh,
what the heck is that?
Right. I was like, this is not what I was expecting. But, we'll make it work and just go from there.
Yeah, it's interesting because for those of you who don't know where St. Louis University is, it's in St. Louis, Missouri, and it's in the heart of the hood. So it's kind of interesting when you step out of the campus, and St. Louis University, it's not a closed off campus. St. Louis University is St. Louis. It's in the city. It is the city. So when you kind of step out of those outskirts of St. Louis University, it's like, where am I? Like, yeah. It's definitely two different worlds amongst the same space. So even me, I had the same opinion because I would come here every summer because my grandma, my mom's side lives here because she was born and raised here. I would come every summer. I'd be surrounded by nothing black people. I would go to summer camps, nothing but black people. So I'm like, oh, okay, SLU should be cool. It's gonna be a lot more of us. I got here, I was like, oh. Even at orientation, I was like, oh.
Right.
I was like, okay, well, maybe it's just because I did it last minute. I'm one of the last people. Like, it'll get better. And then I got here and I was like, the only black. I was like, this is not what I was expecting. And I remember just trying to find the first black person to gravitate towards. And luckily, I did a program before coming here, and I mean, most of the kids in the program were black, and I ended up gravitating and becoming friends with them, and that's how I kind of got acquainted with a lot of close friends of mine, and that's how I met you. Yay. And then we ended up being roommates. And then our sophomore year we were roommates, and then the rest is history. So yeah, I think also another thing dealing with being black here, and just in any setting that's predominantly white, I tend to code switch a lot. Mm-hmm. And I've done it without even noticing that I do it. I think my roommate, they were asking me today, they were like, is there a certain way, like she was reading in their psychology book about how African Americans form a different language when they're around their counterparts versus when they're around in a white professional setting. Like, they learn how to change their language at, like, how they talk at a very young age. And they were like, is there like a certain way? And I'm like, well, one, like, people call it ebonics, and that's kind of where we get from. And they were like, is there a set of rules like that apply? Like, how does it happen? I was like, honestly, I couldn't even tell you.
It just happens.
It just happens.
It's just like your environment, and I don't know. I feel like I'm very good at code switching. Like,
I'm like,
I can switch it on. Yes, I can switch it off.
I surprise myself sometimes, for sure. And even growing up, because I grew up on the southeast side of Chicago, which is technically also known as the hood. And my dad never left the city. My mom and I ended up moving to the ghetto suburbs. I like to call it, known as Evanston. So, like, it still had patches of the hood within Evanston. So that's why I call it the ghetto suburbs, because I'm surrounded by all these white people, and then my high school was also in the heart of the hood. You walk out the front, you in the hood. You walk out the back, you in the nice suburbia. And so I was always used to that. So it's just interesting how, like, I really had to, like, turn it on coming here. And it was difficult too, because it's like, people are like, you're so loud, and I've gotten the you're so loud, or you're so funny, when I really wasn't trying to be funny. A lot of people, I lived on the floor with nothing but white girls my freshman year, and a lot of people asked me, I don't know how many people asked me how long it took for me to do these braids on my head. Can they touch my hair? Is it heavy? All this stuff. And it was just, I was like given a culture lesson every single day.
No, I agree. Like, growing up, like I said, like, I was just around a lot of white people. I went to a predominantly white school, so, like, only time where, I could kind of like relax and stuff and like be myself, in that way was like, when I was playing basketball with my friends, you know what I mean? In high school, my team was like majority black. So, we just like cutting up and stuff. And then I feel like my senior year and like my this year, I kind of let it go. I just talk the way I talk sometimes.
Yeah, you definitely have. And I think I've become the same way too, even because my roommate is white, and they definitely have gotten a taste of some of our lingo as a culture, and they're like, what does that mean?
Right.
Like, what is that? And I'm like, it's just another way of me saying this or that. And so and it's funny because a lot of people think that we have a good amount of black students here because of our basketball team.
Mm-hmm.
On both men and women's basketball team is predominantly black. So a lot of people are like, well, y'all got a bunch of people go there, and I'm like, no.
Really.
Yeah, what about y'all men's basketball team and this? I'm like, yeah, but we really don't even know them, to be honest with you.
They're in their own bubble.
They're in their own bubble, they have not. I have not seen one at one BSA event, one BSA space, promoting a BSA thing. Like, they are in their own little bubble. So like, even them and us as black students, they get treated differently as well because they are student athletes and D1 student athletes at that. So it's definitely a divide between us and them. Not saying that that's a good or bad thing. I'm just saying there is a divide. No bad blood, no like between us. It's just a divide. Like, I don't know them. I don't have class with them. Like, they really don't show support and things like that. So that's one of the things we'll be like, yeah, okay, no.
Yeah, and no. I don't know, I know their lifestyle is different than ours.
Absolutely.
Definitely. They travel a lot. They practice a lot. Probably like multiple practices a day, what have you. But yeah, no, definitely. They, just athletes, period. They just get, treated differently because, they were recruited here, to play and be...
Money as well.
Right, be like a brand for the school and stuff. So
that's also it's very interesting. And last night, I actually my grandma, shout out to my grandma Edie, she sent me this article because she knew I was talking about this today from thinkprogress.com, and it's 5 things that make it hard to be a black student at a mostly white college. And one of them, the first one, well, the idea is a debate is that like black college students, we've all expressed our concerns about racism on campus and what's appropriate, like for students and professors like to interact with us and what's inappropriate. And a lot of people, even on the outside looking in, think that black college students are on the same playing field as white college students because of the fact that we go to these predominantly white institutions, which are seen as being on a higher level than HBCUs sometimes, even though that's not always necessarily true. People think that sometimes we've made it, or we think we're better because we're black going to PWIs, but people have no idea the struggles that we go through. And the first one was conforming to racial bias from professors and peers. And the article highlights that students often have to pick and choose black students often have to pick and choose their battles about when and how to address racial microaggressions that they face every day. So like, even me, when I was talking about when people asked could they touch my hair or was it heavy or things like that, and it's kind of like you have to pick and choose your battles with professors and even with our white counterparts here. And I haven't had a personal experience with a professor and them treating me differently, but I know people who have. I know friends who have here. I know even some faculty members who have told me some stories about working with their white counterparts and how difficult it is. Not only being a black student at SLU, but being a black faculty member at SLU in a predominantly white institution altogether. So like, definitely, have you had any experiences where, or seen or heard about any experiences here where like professors were out of line or even students were out of line?
Professors, no. Just because I'm more of that low-key student.
Yep.
I be in the bag. I be paying attention to stuff.
We're seniors. We're ready to go. It's time to go.
I'm knocking on the door. Ready to get my application, my diploma. I mean, personally, I have not with like microaggressions towards me or anything like that. The only really thing I'm like kind of tired of hearing is like when students don't, they want to talk about things that are around us, and like for example, the gas station.
Yes.
So I'm at work. I work with this girl. She goes here, and she I asked her like where she stayed. She stayed in the gas station. I was like, oh, okay. Or I don't want to like drop too much information, but like and she's like, yeah, I like living over there, but it's just I hate walking past the gas station. And I was like, I was like, why? Like
because you already knew.
I already knew. Like, I just had to kind of just like end the conversation there, because I was like, okay, like this conversation's done, because obviously like that's I hate that.
And it's funny because I don't feel uncomfortable walking to that gas station. I mean, I have my moments where I get catcalled and things like that. But honestly, that's everywhere. And like, but I've never felt like I was unsafe or was about to be harmed. And half the time I just pretend like I got my headphones in anyway. So I act like I can't hear them. But yeah, it's interesting because people like, they love SLU, but they're scared to like go outside of SLU.
Right. And that's crazy because like, okay, it's kind of hard to just like stay on campus all 4 years.
Absolutely.
Like, you're not really venturing out or anything like that. We live in like Midtown St. Louis.
Yeah,
this is
the
like
heart of
the
the hood.
city. This is a city. Like when them blue lights stop, it's like a different story.
It is.
And when you want to go to this school, I really feel like you should be paying attention to location. Like location. Location is everything. You have to consider everything that's around you, and
Absolutely.
like not kind of expect for your privilege to kind of like carry you through that, because at the end of the day, St. Louis will be St. Louis.
Absolutely.
And there's nothing wrong with that. I feel totally safe going, down to the gas station, going, down Chipotle and stuff like that. Like,
I honestly feel more in my comfort zone off campus than I do on campus. And one of the next points that was made in the article was just how Black students, how we have to struggle with the psychological pressure of proving ourselves, being at a PWI. One of the greatest challenges we have is the pressure to represent. When we come here, we represent all Black people. Every single one. They think we are the token Black person, and that's a lot. So like when certain things or issues are being talked about, like you get the look, you get the eye,
right.
Well, how do you feel about that?
You're like, I don't even know how I feel about it. So what do you mean?
Like,
I don't have an answer for everything.
Like, what's going on? And even this idea, I've also heard conversations. A lot of people saying that like a lot of Black students who go to predominantly PWIs or even Ivy League schools, which are mostly PWIs, how we only got in because we are Black.
Right.
And it's funny. Okay, it's funny because we do kind of also make that joke amongst like the BSA, but no, that is not why we got in here. But like this idea that like, oh, we need you. So that is why you're here. And sometimes I've dealt with that, and I've talked to people in BSA who have dealt with it like, I just got accepted because if I didn't, like, the percentage of the amount of Black people that go here would have decreased or wouldn't have gone up. And yeah, I don't even know. I'm gonna look up the statistics of like how many Black students, like specifically how many Black students are here. Because it's not a lot.
No, and the thing is, so this year's first year class, this is probably like the biggest class that we've had of Black, like first year students.
Black first year students.
And it's still not a lot.
No. Like, honestly, like, I can count on my hand, like, how many, like, honestly, it be like that, though, like, I'm like, oh, these all freshmen, and that's it, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's it. And this is supposed to be, like, our biggest class.
This is supposed to be
and
our...
that's, that's sad just because even, like, with the location of where this school is, there's all these predominantly black high schools that are around around SLU, but are they being recruited? Are they being given resources so that they can get into the school?
Yep.
And like stay in school?
Yep. And even the simple fact that when I walk into, because I'm an African American Studies major, marketing minor, so in my African American Studies classes, I mean, it's 3 black people, which is a lot more than the amount of black people that are in my marketing classroom, which is just me. So that makes 1. So it's, when I walk into those classes, I feel like I have an extra, like, duty to, like, prove myself, or feel like I have to overextend myself and work twice as harder as the next person, because, like, if I don't participate, I'm getting, like, people looking at me or things like that, or I feel like, or sometimes I feel like if I do participate and I get the answer wrong, people look at me like, yep,
right,
yep, see, that's why she shouldn't be here, she just here because she black,
right.
And so I deal with that all the time, like, okay, should I say something? Or I always want to make sure I'm on my P's and Q's and know exactly what it is I'm talking about before I raise my hand in the classroom, because, like, I feel like I can't afford to mess up. And
yeah, imposter syndrome. That's real. That's really real.
Oh, explain.
Imposter.
The psychology major over here.
Imposter syndrome, basically, in just general words, is just the feeling that you just do not belong, even though your credentials, or just like your talents, intelligence, like that's what got you here, but you still feel like you do not belong. And that's definitely something that us as black students, we deal with, especially like being the only black student in your class, or even in your major. And that's what I mean. And that's not a far-fetched like idea, like being the only black student in your major.
Nope, not at all.
Because there's not a lot of us.
Not a lot of us. And on that note, we are going to take a quick break. So our next song is Trip by LMA. That was Trip by Ella May. It's May. Ella May. So for those of you guys who are either just tuning in or who missed it, we are talking about being black at SLU on this episode of I Think Therefore I'm Black. And right now we are talking about the 5 things that make it hard to be a black student at a predominantly white institution. And the third one I thought was interesting too, and I didn't realize it until I read it, because I didn't really know there was a name to it, or like a thing, is dealing with Eurocentric teaching focus. So a lot of times in these classrooms, especially, mine's a little different because I am an African American Studies major, so we kind of got to talk about my people. But I noticed in a lot of classes, like, they only talk about experiences, or even like teach from like a European standpoint. So by that I mean, I know in my marketing class we talked a lot about how to market to certain people and things like that, but we didn't really cover on how certain races market for other races, and even races of color. Right. In my international business class, we talked about things internationally, but we didn't really talk about things domestically on how to target a certain market. So it's a lot of things and experiences. Even with psychology, we didn't cover, in my general psychology class, we didn't really cover like mental health amongst black people. And that's actually one of the things I'm doing my independent study about, is mental health within the African American community, because it's not something we talk about, and it's not even something I learned about being here at SLU yet, because I am taking psychology of oppression next semester.
Oh, Dr. Harvey.
So, yes, so I am looking forward to that. Harvey. But it's one of those things where it's just like, due to the lack of professors of color, it's kind of hard for professors to teach or speak from that experience, from an experience they don't know. Because if they do, then there's hell to raise. And because it's like you don't know that and you can't relate to it. So it's also kind of hard for Black students to feel relatable to what they're even learning, which can also affect us academically, especially when you don't find how you relate to it or how this even relates to you. So yeah, I didn't realize that. I've noticed that like being in class is just like, okay, like how do I do this? Or I know I'm gonna be surrounded by a certain amount of people. How do I market to this person, or how do I market to that person? And it's just one of those things where some things just aren't general ideas. Some things is just literally just like catering towards the white society and basing certain things off of European standards. And I know my first 2 years here, I feel like that was a lot of the case when it came to like learning certain things, and it was difficult because I'm like, when am I going to use this? Like, when am I going to, like, how does this relate to me? I don't have all the connections that my white counterparts have, and it's going to be twice as difficult for me to get into certain things, because I'm afraid. It was mostly my own fear too, of feeling like I'm already walking in and they already see me as this Black girl. Of course. So it's different. Have you had that issue? I know you're a psychology and a African American studies major, but like even in your like psychology courses, like have you felt that sense of like when they speak generally, it's not really generally, it's generally from like a white standpoint?
Of course. No. Even, I mean, growing up, being in high school, what were your classes geared toward? Like, did you really talk about Black studies other than during Black History Month?
Slavery was a unit. Right. It was not a class. Like, African American history was a unit. It was not a class on its own. I don't even know if there was a specific class at my high school even. And also, if you're not an African American studies major, 9 times out of 10, you will never touch an African American studies class. Or if you're just not a major that requires certain classes to be taken, you won't touch a multicultural or like a class that will be included in, I guess, diversity. So it's just interesting because I'm just like, I look at all these white people in some of my African American studies classes and I'm like, what makes you want to learn this? Not in a bad way. I really am curious. It's like, are you just trying to meet a requirement, or are you just trying to have a better understanding, or like where do you fit in to this standpoint?
Right. And I feel like it's cool that, some people take AFAM classes and stuff like that. You're like, okay, like, you down? Like, you taking the effort to, like, learn and stuff. And, all the classes that, like, they could have took. Like, they wanted to be in this class. Maybe some just took the class because it was the only thing left available. Yeah. Whatever. But I just want to touch on the importance of being an AFAM major. Coming to SLU, to this PWI, I feel like being an AFAM major is one of the best decisions I made here. Because so our first year, I have not like been taught about Black history other than during Black History Month. Talking about MLK.
And you get the basic people. MLK, Frederick Douglass, Harriet Tubman, Madam C.J. Walker. Like, you get the mainstream. Yes, Black. Malcolm X. They barely talked about Malcolm X, though, too, because, you get the safe. What they probably will qualify as the safe people.
And then I don't know why, I just took it. I was like, okay, I'm interested. Like, I want to know, like, what we're going to talk about during this class. And Dr. Boogie, she really, like, she really did a good job with that class.
Yes.
Especially if it was an intro to AFAM.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, I learned so much. I was like amazed at like how much I did not know.
You know what's funny? I'm glad you had that experience because my intro to AFAM teacher my freshman year was white. And we walked in and I'm like, am I in the right classroom? Like, what's going on? And her being a white woman, it even affected the way the class was held because she couldn't handle when we got into heated debates. She thought it was a form of conflict, but we just be like, we loud, we talking, we debating. She'd be like, all right, guys, no, we're just gonna move on. We're just gonna move on. This is getting too heated. This is getting too, and we like. We ain't even mad at each other. Like, this is turning into argument. We like, no, we literally just talking. This is how we talk. Like, this is how, and like, she would not go for it, and it was so frustrating because I feel like I did not get as much as I could have out of that class, because she was so scared that I think she might have had her own biases in the back of her head, even though she had an AFAM education background where like she studies this. She still had her own bias. Like I think she was scared, honestly. Like that one of us was just gonna like knock each other out. Right. And so it just was difficult. But like, yeah, that's another thing being black at like I was like, oh, now they having white people teach our classes. I was not happy. I'm like, what's she gonna do? Like, what is she do? Like, I was like, all right, let's see. And lo and behold, we was like, yeah, nah.
And the thing is, though, I appreciate that she wanted to teach that class. The effort.
The A for effort. So yeah, the
she
A.
probably did a good job.
The last two, I think, also definitely hit home. Number 4, being targeted by campus police, and 2, failing to get solidarity from the administration. Let's talk about this campus police situation because this is definitely like something that we get a lot, and even something that like our friends would happen where they're like, yeah, DPS would stop me and
in the library
at night when they're just walking to like the dining hall, ask for IDs, ask do they go here, and it's like they had all these precautions that white students wouldn't get, or like if anybody like looks suspicious, like we automatically was like, oh, do you go here? Where's your ID? Da 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 da. And it's just like,
let's talk about the library situation.
Yes.
So now granted, we do live like in the city, and this campus is public or open, so it's very easy to get on campus. It's not really closed off or anything like that. But when you go into the library, and every student that goes to SLU, they know this, you have to scan in.
Yes.
There's 2 entrances, and you have to scan in regardless, especially after a certain amount of time in the night. So, okay. That I really didn't understand that situation, wanting to see the IDs of students who already had to give their IDs.
Yeah, who already
show their
IDs
to get into the building.
Yeah.
I feel like that was extremely ridiculous.
And it was only towards the black students.
Of course.
Yep. Yep.
Because that's just not happening. Like random students studying in a room, or just being multiple people in a room. Okay, let's say they're white. The DPS officers are going to just walk right past.
Yep.
But with the black students, maybe they were having a little too much fun, whatever, looking like they were, whatever. But that's just unacceptable.
I mean, either way, yeah, because our white counterparts here, they get wild, they get crazy. And it's so funny because of just how they treat the white students versus how they treat us. When white students want to go out here, they get a bus. Have you noticed that? Like when they have a big formal and stuff like that, the fraternity sorority, they get a bus and they make sure they get back safe and this, that, other. I'm like, we got events too, and we had one event and it took us forever to find some DPS officers. Yeah,
talk the party.
Yes. Yeah, we had a party, and Janee was it was a hassle just to get BSA members, and then there was another event and you couldn't even get no dang on tables and chairs.
Oh, for our tailgating.
but this happens a lot. And you can talk about that a little more when we talk about your experience with BSA and just your position. Also when we get the alerts of if there's something unsafe or there's a suspect on campus, they don't. The only time they mention the race is if the person is black.
Of course, they never say, a white man.
Or, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, they only mention the person with the person. I'm like, oh, okay. Okay. And it's scary because of our friends and things like that. They are so broad. It's like African American male, 6 foot hoodie. That's half of our guy friends. That's literally half of the people that we hang around and half of the people that we love and care about. And so we have to take just be safe because this is what they said, and it's such a broad description. It's just why give a description at all? If it was a white person, you wouldn't have. If it was another somebody that you wouldn't have. So yep. And the last one, which is I mean, you can talk more about that with your position as well, is failing to get solidarity from the administration. So I know this also goes into equity versus equality, and they love to play this. Well, you want to be equal, so everybody should get this and that. And my grandma was telling me this story about how her and the Black Alumni Association at her school, and I'm paraphrasing too because this was about a week ago when she told me this story, but it was perfect for this topic. And she was telling me how they said there's not enough black students here due to money. A lot of reasons why a lot of us don't choose college or choose not to go to certain schools is because of financial aid aspects, and that's just the sad truth, and not enough scholarships available to us by said schools that we are accepted into. So they decided to raise this money, and the money will be geared towards a person, a black student, to come here. And one year they were able to give a significant amount of money to I think 1 or 2 students, she said. And then the next year they had raised $50,000. Now then, it was funny because then administration, positions changed. Like I said, I'm paraphrasing. Positions changed, and there was a new person ahead of whatever the organization she was a part of, and they took that $50,000 that they made and was this isn't pretty much saying that this isn't fair. You can't just give this $50,000 to black students. This has to be equal. We got to disperse it. We're gonna take this scholarship money that was supposed to be for the black incoming students of your choice, and we're gonna disperse it amongst whoever we think sees fit. But we'll make sure that some of y'all black kids get it too.
Right.
And my grandma was like, I don't trust you. But it was out of their control at that point. And my grandma was just mentioning, it's equity over equality. Yes, equality is nice, but you also have to make sure you have this sense of equity too. So there are certain things that we cannot get because of the color of our skin, and because of how some people see us. So it's nice that we should have things that are catered towards us, like scholarships and events and student organizations like BSA and things like that. And also access to a PWI and an Ivy League school for us African Americans does not mean we don't experience racism or we don't see it or it's not real. It's definitely hiding. Me personally, I feel more comfortable going to the black parties at Harris Stowe than I do going to any SLU events. And yeah, I just thought that was really interesting. She brought that up, equity versus equality, because they are very different.
Oh, it is very different. I feel so obviously there's not a lot of black students on campus. It's a very small number compared to the majority. And I feel administration should recognize that and definitely use resources to kind of fix those issues. So with recruitment and retention, okay? So personally, we can't really do anything with recruitment, but BSA does a lot. We have a lot to do with retainment.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, so let's get into that. Let's talk about BSA, your role in BSA, what made you decide, and why it's so important for us black students to have an organization like that.
Okay, So I am president
Madam
of the Black
President.
Student Alliance of the 2019 to 2020 school year. Previous years, I've served on the board. I started off as a secretary my sophomore year, and then made my way up to vice president of external affairs my junior year, and here I am senior year. And basically, I feel as though BSA is probably one of the most, it could be one of the most important experiences of our college experience at SLU.
Yeah, and they try and take it away from us every chance they get.
It's so important because we are just so connected with, community.
Mm-hmm.
Because, not some students, they don't really necessarily want to, engage with BSA, and that's perfectly fine.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean? But to others, it's how, we get together, we hang out,
mm-hmm.
we, learn from each other,
mm-hmm.
especially like first year students and like upper class students, and just basically just being a big support system so that at the end of the day, we are getting this diploma.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's kind of the role that BSA, is you're trying to play in our constituents' lives.
Yeah. So, what made you want to be president? Because that is a serious spot.
No, it definitely is. So being on the board, I've definitely had my experience, and so I was like, okay, my senior year, I'm just gonna, I'm gonna cool out. I'm gonna, focus on getting my, finishing my senior year and stuff. I'll definitely still be involved. I was more so trying to just be a senior advisor.
You were trying to just be I was
trying to help,
cool.
but not trying to
help
get too much in it.
Right.
I want, other students to have that opportunity.
Right.
But unfortunately, not everyone is up for that task.
Yes, it's
for that responsibility.
Yeah.
Because being on the e-board, it is a lot because of how delicate our student population is,
mm-hmm.
and how big of a responsibility it is to be able to make an impression
mm-hmm.
on somebody's academic life,
yes,
or their college career.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I guess we really didn't have a whole lot of people that were willing to take on that position. So I was like, I could not ever abandon my people. So
you're right.
I was like, okay, I'll be president, and we were just gonna have to make the best out of this year and make it, aim to have the best year.
Yeah, and I think you're definitely doing a great job, and you're doing the best with what you've got, and what's been given to you. So yeah, and I also think it's very important. I think BSA is part of the reason why I'm still here too. Because there's many times where I'm like, I just want to transfer so bad, and I just want to be at a HBCU so bad. But pride also. I just want to say that I finished here because, well, one, it's SLU, and
mm-hmm.
we based off what we've been talking about for the past hour, we kind of know what that means. And yeah, just the idea, it's so important to be surrounded in a safe space and be surrounded by people that make you feel comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
For sure. And on that note, we're gonna go into a break and enjoy this next song by Daniel Caesar featuring her called Best Part. Back. So for these last few minutes, any final remarks, any closing out thoughts you got, Janee?
Definitely follow BSA's Instagram at BSA, or hold on, Lord,
is it SLU BSA or SLU
I should know this.
Yeah, Madam President, what is going on?
Okay, so we are at SLU _BSA. I will say it again, SLU _BSA. We have a lot of great events in the works for next semester, especially Black History Month. we are going to be lit.
Oh, yes, yes. I'm excited.
So please look out for that. You can follow me at what's my at name? It should be like at Janee_Davis. Yes, Janee. If you want to follow me. And yeah, if anyone ever has any questions about BSA or like what BSA is about, how to get more involved, whatever, come find me, email me, group me, anything. I'm pretty much, you can get in contact with me anywhere.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. It's just BSA is important. Just being black at SLU is a struggle, and we're just continuing to try and just do what it is to just make it easier. That's why I started I Think Therefore I'm Black, and that's why it's called I Think Therefore I'm Black. And my guests will probably be predominantly black because I just want to give us a voice and a platform that we normally don't have being here at a PWI. So I feel like it's just like I'm enjoying it. It's my 3rd episode, and I feel like we've been talking about some topics, and just a lot of people, I've been getting a lot of positive feedback. So I'm just happy that I'm starting to just like give that voice to people, especially here. And yeah, so where can people follow you? You gave your social media already. You just did.
And Janee_Davis.
Yes, and you guys can follow me, of course, on Twitter and Instagram at DejaVu_. That's DEJAIVU_. You guys can also subscribe to my YouTube channel. That is Deja Monet, DEJAIMONET. And the videos for these episodes will be coming soon. Just trying to get everything together and trying to, just figure it out. And I want to post it and be as consistent as possible. So, I'm just still at the beginning stages trying to figure out what works. So videos are coming soon. So make sure you guys follow, like, subscribe, and comment. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter. And yeah, y'all have a good day. And I am Deja Monet. And thank you so much, Janee, for coming.
Thank you for having me.
Madam President. All right, this has been I Think Therefore I'm Black. So we are going to end it off with one of my favorite songs on Summer Walker's last album called BP. Y'all have a good night.